very spiffy today.
Got my hair in a ponytail because the wind gust is up to 45 today.
It is crazy. 80 degrees, 45, and it's going to be like...
Yeah, we're going to have a 40-degree drop tomorrow. Right now it's reading 82. We're supposed to be like 40
in the morning. It's crazy.
Less in the morning.
Okay, here you go. Do you have any, Sarah Shillings, do you have any pictures anywhere of the new Merle Fluffy Stud? Mickey Blue Eyes. Yeah, I'll put some up on the website. So just give me 24 hours, I'll put them up on the website. Blessed LS3 caught Cherry Eye. Counting my female Frenchie. Flipped her upside down and rotated her until it worked itself back inside place. Okay, good. Glam Mam 21. My puppies have Giardia. They're 5 months old, and I'm freaking out because I have small kids and they play and lick on them, and the dogs lick on them. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So Giardia, it is transmissible. I think it's actually really a different version of it that really gets human. So it's not that transmissible. But either way, you want to take care of it. I mean, you have to be a little bit careful about dogs licking you in the face because there are some things that can be transmitted between dogs and humans. Not very many things, but a few.
Yeah. Well, when it concerns your kids, you don't.
Yeah. Some kinds of worms you can get from dogs.
Oh yeah.
So what you need to do is you need to go buy our Giardia test on our website, and if it's Giardia, you treat with metronidazole for 8 days.
Your kids too?
Well, actually, they do use it for humans, but I'm not going to say anything about that because we're definitely going to get in trouble here. But it is actually used by humans to treat it. But exactly what the dosage is, we're not even going to go there.
Just your dogs, please.
My question is, what do you do when money starts coming in? I keep hearing LLC. The LLC is not going to make a lick of difference in terms of money coming in. I mean, when money comes in, you're going to have to report it to the feds or your IRS.
You want to keep that
especially
straight,
if somebody gives you a 1099, you definitely want to report it if you get a 1099. Because then the IRS knows exactly what's going on. So
you'll think you'll be getting away with it for a while, but they'll get you.
Yeah, right. So just be careful on this. I mean, if you get cash, there's ways that's not so easy, not so hard for them to track. But I'm not encouraging people to cheat. But the LLC has got nothing to do with taking money, and the LLC is more in terms of protecting yourself in the terms of something bad happens and somebody wants to sue you. Limits your liability. A limited liability corporation. Will a dog that has 1 or 2 copies of brindle show? Yes, it will show. And
sometimes we had 2, when we first started out, we had 2 blue dogs, and they had a little bitty, about a ½ inch brindle mark on their top shoulder. That was it.
Yes.
So just because you don't see it, if that DNA comes back and you know both of its parents and it says it's brindle, it's going to be brindle.
Yes. And so then the question is, and I don't think I can answer this very well, but then the question is, if you just got that situation with a very little bit of brindle, does it mess up things like tan points? And I suspect that it does.
Oh, yeah.
So I think that brindle is brindle regardless.
Do you remember whenever we bred to a non-brindle and it seemed like the brindle marks in the puppies were more obvious than the one that did carry brindle? Okay. I remember that from a long time ago, and it was like, oh, okay, So, yeah.
Lucky asks, talking about inseminating dogs, says, does this work with interspecies? Well, when you say species, actually it wouldn't, because a species is the delineation between 2 animals that can't procreate and produce offspring. But if it's dogs, they're all the same species, and yes, it works with all dogs. But if you try to inseminate a cat with dog semen, to get, what was that show on TV?
I don't know,
on MTV many years. Dog cat or cat dog. I can't remember the name it was. It was. But the answer is it'll work for all dogs, but it won't work between species. I mean, you can't get a human and a dog to produce a man dog. That's not going to happen. I'm such an idiot. Oh dear. Sunny drop corgis. Sorry, I'll quit laughing now. Sunny drop corgis. Where would you place?
Is that litter that we had that had a goatee like yours?
Yeah, right. Where would you place? Talking about heat tape. Where would you place on an easy whelp box? Well, the answer is you can get the easy whelp box 2 different ways. One has a plastic floor in it, and you stick it to the underneath of that floor, and that's easy. But if you get the one that has a vinyl floor, then or no floor, then you're going to have to make your own floor to go in there to stick the tape to the bottom of. And you can buy a sheet of what's called Coroplastic. It's like $20 for a 4x8 sheet at Lowe's, and it's actually the same material they make Easy World box out of, and it cuts with a box knife, and you can just stick it to the bottom of that, and Bob's your uncle. Have you had a black pup with very, very light tan points? Do you speculate that this is an intensity gene? Nah, it could be, but
Probably carrying cream.
yeah, I mean, there's a number of ways. I mean, I'm not sure what you mean by very light tan points. If you mean very white, then the way that you can get very white tan points is no brindle, AT-AT, carries a copy of cream, and then carries a copy of intensity, and that will really make it pop like crazy. If they're not very visible,
pretty.
yeah, very pretty. If it's not very visible, then that could be a different thing. For instance, you could have, if you got ATA, they tend to be more orangey in color. Lack of cream makes them less bright. Lack of intensity makes them less bright. Super Bonnie Films. How do you calibrate the progesterone machine, the fine care that we sell on My British Supply? Every time you get a box of 10 test kits, it comes with a little chip. You put the chip into the machine, you press a button that says re-chip, and a couple of seconds later it's done. And it's every time that you get a new box of test chips, you do that. And the machine's smart. It knows if you put in a cassette and you haven't calibrated to that chemistry, it warns you about it and prompts you to put the chip in. Eve Stefanovic. I'm new to breeding, would like your opinion on choosing the right stud for my female Frenchie. Her DNA is AT-AT, that's 10 points. Big D, little d carries blue. Little CO, so she's a chocolate and tan. Big E, little e, NN, so no brindle, no pied. One copy of Black Mask. So she's a cocoa that carries blue with 10 points. I want to create a new shade fluffy. Yeah, not happening. So here's the problem you've got here, is that to make a new shade, you have to have both versions of chocolate present. You've only got cocoa present. You don't have the little B gene. So you've got to have that. Yeah, testable chocolate. So you can make puppies that have those genes present, and they can then go on to make new shades. And by the way, a new shade is a dog that has both versions of chocolate, two kinds, both versions of chocolate. So you can't get there in one stop. Now we have a really gorgeous new shade boy called Goldfinger. You might go look at him, so he'd be a candidate for you, and he'll put all the colors into the puppies, and every puppy could then go on and make a new shade for you. And what you would get would be, you'd get chocolates and lilacs that carried, you get chocolates and lilacs and that would be capable of making new shades. How do your females, Kim Y, how do your females get along with each other? I have two girls who get along most of the time, but every so often they don't. I'm cute. Yes, so we've been in this situation. Tammy, go ahead.
Yeah, that's probably when they're fixing to come into heat. It's when they get angry with each other. That's usually the reason. What are your ideas?
Yeah, exactly that. Well, I think there's a number of things that go on here. You can have, someone's got to be the alpha dog. If you bring in a new dog and it hasn't established who's the alpha dog yet, they have to work it out amongst themselves. And so you can have some tussles over that. You can have tussles over toys. You can have a dog that has a favorite toy and somebody else grabs it. And most of our dogs, most of the time, when a toy's taken away, it's chase time and fun time, and they're just having fun with it.
And when they do get onto each other, you need to stop it real quick. You need to smack, swat, whatever. Clap your hands loud and say no, something to make them quit.
Traffic jam coming up. Yeah, we've had a situation, this is many years ago, when we weren't set up the way we are now. And we had, I think, 4 or 5 girls, and they were running around in the backyard, and a fight broke out, didn't it?
Well, it's because Trixie would run up there and bow herself up like she was the alpha dog, which she wasn't. But that was her, I don't know.
She was the first dog that we first French we ever got.
Yeah.
So she was.
Oh, there was a fight.
She was, she considered herself to be queen dog.
Yeah.
And she wasn't queen dog, and she found out about it by getting in a fight.
Yeah. I went running out there and picked her up in the air, and the others were trying to grab her, and that was a scary situation, but we stopped that real quick.
Yes. So I think, so what Tammy said, first off, is when hormones are running wild in heat, that is, and then what can happen is all of your dogs cycle about the same time. So they're all in heat. They've all got their hormones mucked around, and they've all got their, they've got their feelings on their sleeve, and that is a prime situation to have a fight. And Frenchies typically don't fight, but it can happen, and it can be bad. So you've got to pay attention to this. So if you leave your dogs out together, you've got to make sure everything's okay. And we just don't leave our dogs out. I mean, we let them run outside for 5-10 minutes max if we're not around. That's it. Part of it is they may go wandering off and go investigate other things. We've got ponds and we've got owls and hawks and all kinds of other things that can be a potential threat to a Frenchie or any small dog. So yeah, I mean,
Is there another car coming?
You can go. No,
I can't.
Sorry. No.
I'm just gonna get off on up here. I'm not gonna mess with this.
Okay. We're in a traffic jam. Yeah. So, and I mean, you've got to be the alpha boss, right, Tammy?
Mm-hmm.
You've got to be the alpha dog.
Yeah.
So, so one of the things that Tammy has, she's a little crop, and she'll, if a dog's really misbehaving.
Well, the crop has two leather pieces on the end of it where it's bowed out like this, and when you smack it on your leg, it pops, and that grabs their attention real quick, you know. And it's on my leg that I do it, and they pay attention. They look at me like, what?
I go like this when I hear it too. It's like, but But
anyway, it gets their attention because it's the ears that it affects. Like a newspaper, roll up newspaper, you pop that in your hand, boy, it grabs.
But every now and then you'll give a dog a little smack on the back end.
Yeah.
Not hard, nothing that's going to hurt a dog.
After the first warning and it doesn't work, then that rolled up newspaper popping in your hands, pop it on their little bottoms as they're running by, and then that'll make them go, oh.
But it's like parents who've got kids and they keep on saying, if you do that one more time, and they keep on with that and they never do anything. I'm going to count.
Where they count.
Yeah,
it's like, are you kidding me? Your kid's smart. He's going to wait till you get to the last number.
Or they know you're not going to deliver. So it's the same thing with dogs, by the way. I mean, you've got to follow up on this. You've got to be firm. You've got to be consistent. And, dogs need to know that when you say to do, you don't want a dog running out the street.
No.
So you want a dog that will do what you want it to do when it matters. And so, there's all kinds of ways that you can teach dogs. There's clickers, training device like that, treats, positive reinforcement. They're all great things to do. But
and by all means, we don't mean beat your dog, because that is a big no-no.
No, absolutely not. No, never. We never. And our kids. One of them's got a broken arm that never recovered from us beating it. But no.
And it grew crooked.
Yeah, grew's not up. No. Look, I mean, I think about myself as a young boy. I never got a beating I didn't deserve, and I got tons of things I got away with where I should have got a beating.
Well,
so
when you say beating, spanking.
Yeah. No, it was more of an embarrassment. It's more meant to be an embarrassment to the dog, isn't it? It's an embarrassment, and so
it hurts their feelings.
We've got to
raise your voice. Usually, hurts their feelings. So maybe you don't have to do all this other stuff, and you just raise your voice.
How old's Whimsy?
Oh, Whimsy is in that rebellious
8
stage.
months? 7 months?
Probably 7 months.
She's 7 months old, and she's not learning.
Oh, she wants to play.
Yeah.
And she's busy.
She's in the house,
Busy.
and she's busy, and then she'll go outside, and the next thing you'll know is I'll see her outside. She's got, some goose poop in her mouth.
She's afraid somebody else is going to eat it.
And she's chewing on it, and I'm like screaming at her. And I mean, if she doesn't do what she's supposed to do, she gets a smack on the back because I don't want her
on her
eating
bottom,
poop.
not her back.
Yeah, on the bottom. I mean, nothing, just enough to get her attention. So we were talking about this for a long time. We're going to finish the video on this. So if those of you want to hang up now, there's nothing else coming after this. We're just talking about disciplining dogs.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's exactly the same thing with any animal, including human beings. You've got to be consistent. You've got to be fair, and you've got to be careful about, especially for us male dogs. We never let out 2 male dogs when we've got a female that's in heat.
We've been real lucky though with our male dogs.
Never had
they get along.
And there's a lot of them, and we've never had a fight, not one time. But we monitor this all the time. We don't let 2 males out with a female in heat. We just don't do that. Don't do that.
No.
But we've got males that we can let out, 4 or 5 males, and they can play around, and it's all fine. But there's 1 or 2 of our males who are more alpha than the other ones, and I mean they're gonna boss the other dogs around, and that's okay. just got to make sure to get out of hand. And the
Yeah.
dogs who are not the alpha dogs
And
learn
they're
quickly to
never out without supervision. Let me tell you
not
that.
for any length of time. That's right. That's exactly right. Okay, there we go. 15 minutes on the dot. Say goodbye, Tammy.
Bye.
Bye, buddy. Thanks for watching the video. I really appreciate people who subscribe to me. It helps me, encourage me to do more of these videos. But do remember, disclaimer here, I am not a vet. I'm not a licensed medical professional. I'm purely a person who's been breeding dogs for the last couple of decades. Any information that you got from this video, use at your own risk. There's nothing implied here, and certainly this should not be used as a substitute for advice from your veterinarian or your medical professional. I hope you enjoyed the video. Come back for more of them. Bye.